that we're ready to go at your convenience.
Okay. Well, I want it noted that I'm using probably for the first time ever in the history of the city of Tigard. This is my gavel, wooden kitchen utensil. So I am going to call this Tigard City Council meeting to order. And city recorder, please take roll.
Councilor Anderson.
Here.
Mayor Snyder.
Here.
Youth Councilor Turley.
Here.
Council President Goodhouse.
Here.
Councilor Newton. Councilor Newton. Oh, Councilor Lube.
Here.
All right, we will all participate in the Pledge of Allegiance on our own. Please mute yourselves. Okay. Council or staff, any non-agenda items for tonight?
Mr. Mayor, this is City Manager Wine. Staff have no non-agenda items.
All right, we'll move on to public comment. Is there any follow-up to previous public comment?
Mr. Mayor, this is City Manager Wine again. I just wanted to comment to the council, and I think that you've probably seen this on email and council mail, but because it's probably the last thing that you heard about from the council related to public comment, we've had concerns from two neighborhoods this year related to traffic issues. One is on 109th in Anand Heights, and you received a petition from the neighbors in that neighborhood, and then most recently on council mail and on email, the Ascension Drive neighbors have called and written into you about, in each case, Anand Heights was about narrow streets and passing issues and whether to allow and where to allow parking on both sides and what would be safe. On the Ascension Drive front, there were concerns about eliminating parking on both sides. And in the past, we've heard speeding concerns from those neighbors, but most recently, their concerns were about decisions to limit parking. So in both cases, we have groups of neighbors who have petitioned the city and copied the city council about their concerns. Each neighborhood and street has particular challenges that are related to the grade and the curve and the width of the street and have effects about who uses the street. So those were all considered as part of city staff's analysis about what treatment would be allowed on each street. But in both cases, what I wanted to let the council know was that hopefully, if you haven't, you will see that I and city staff, our engineering staff, particularly our senior engineer, Tegan Enlow, is going to be reaching out and finding a way to reach out to each neighborhood to let them know and explain how the decisions, what led up to the decisions that were made on their street, and then also get input and consult with them about the way the decision was made. One of the challenges about our COVID-19 health emergency is that it makes the outreach to neighbors and communication a lot more challenging. So that kind of a dialogue and answering questions is a little harder to achieve, but I just wanted the council to know that we're reaching out to both neighborhoods to try to both explain city actions and our street standards, and then also to understand what the concerns are of neighbors. So that's just a report back about folks that you've heard from most recently on traffic safety. So that's all I have for follow-up to public comment.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to Tigard High School Student Envoy. Outgoing Envoy Sarah Gentry will provide a brief update to the council. And then I know that we've got your successor here as well. Is Sarah on the line?
Hi.
Okay, excellent.
Hi. Yeah, I'm Sarah. So yeah, I'll just do my report real quick and then introduce next year's ASB president, who will be the student envoy. So Tigard kind of ended on a rough note. I told you guys about Unity Day that was coming up. It was supposed to be in March. But sadly, on the morning of, we had everything ready. We were going, and about 20 minutes into the day, it was canceled. So that was a really hard way to end the school year. That ended up being our last day of school, actually. So that was just a hard way to end because we were all really excited for this day, and it had to be canceled. So, yeah. But our 2020 seniors, our administration has done an amazing job with trying to make us still feel celebrated, even though this is like a really hard time. So we had our cap and gown pickup on Monday, May 4th, and like they decorated the whole parking lot. A bunch of the teachers were there cheering us on. It was really exciting. And then also right now the plan right now is a drive-through graduation and a virtual ceremony. So that'll still be fun and like a way we can be celebrated at least. And then also our leadership program, we took all of our like spring events to be virtual. So we did like virtual spirit days. We had like Instagram takeovers where students would like walk people through their day in quarantine. We did virtual teacher appreciation week. We had over 300 students participate, writing notes to their teachers. And then we also did a virtual video game tournament that a lot of people participated in. So yeah, it was super exciting. And that was kind of the end of Tigard. I want to say thank you so much. I loved being the envoy this year. I'm super excited to announce Caroline Frasierez will be the next envoy. She's great. She's on the dance team. She's in a bunch of clubs at Tigard, and she'll be the ASB president next year. Caroline, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Hi guys, my name is Caroline Frasierez, and I'm super excited to be next year's ASB president and student envoy. Just a little bit about myself. I'm part of the Tigerettes dance team. I've been in advanced leadership for the past 2 years now. And then some clubs I'm in are clubs like Amnesty International, Sparrow, and National Honor Society at Tigard. But yeah, I'm really excited for the upcoming school year, whatever that may look like with COVID-19. But yeah, I'm really excited for this opportunity, and I look forward to working with you guys all in the upcoming year.
Well, Caroline, welcome. And Sarah, before you take off, we have a little action to take. So the council is going to pull an item from the consent agenda, which is item 4B, to acknowledge you, Sarah, for your service to the city of Tigard as the high school envoy over the last year. And the item on the agenda is a resolution that reads, whereas the Tigard City Council desires to connect with students and schools to improve communications and relationships, and whereas City of Tigard elected officials appreciated the monthly updates from student envoy Sarah Gentry, and whereas activities coordinated by Sarah Gentry and her fellow student leaders benefited students and the Tigard community, now therefore be it resolved by the Tigard City Council that the City of Tigard Council and staff members hereby convey their gratitude to Sarah Gentry for her exemplary service as the Tigard High School envoy. The City of Tigard Council and staff members hereby extend congratulations and best wishes for future health and success to Sarah. And this resolution is effective immediately upon passage. So the council is going to act on that. I just want to acknowledge that, this is certainly a difficult way to end the school year, but we want to thank you. So City Council, is there a motion on Resolution 20-23?
Sarah, I just want to say thank you for coming every month. It's always such a joy to hear about, everything that the students are doing. And so thank you so much for coming every month. And with that, I move to approve Resolution number 20-23.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. City Recorder, please read the number and title of the resolution.
Resolution number 20-23, a resolution acknowledging and commending Sarah Gentry for her service as Tigard High School student envoy to the city of Tigard.
Will the City Recorder please conduct a roll call vote?
Councilor Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Snyder?
Yes.
Council President Goodhouse?
Yes.
Councilor Newton?
Yes.
Councilor Lube?
Yes.
All right, resolution number 20-23 is adopted unanimously. Sarah, thank you again, and we'll make sure that the staff gets you a copy of this resolution for you.
Mr.
Awesome.
Mayor,
And good luck. Sarah, are you going to
Thank
tell
you.
us where you're headed in the fall?
Yeah, I'm going to the Honors College at the University of Oregon.
Awesome.
go Ducks.
I'll second that. Go Ducks.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks,
you
Sarah.
again. And we will move on to next item on the agenda is to receive an update from Police Chief Kathy McAlpine.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilors. Chief Kathy McAlpine. This is your April update, and just as a reminder to our listening audience, this is the first full month of kind of what COVID-19 looked like for the community. I have you see the PowerPoint, but all of you have the 4-page document. I'm just going to highlight a couple things. Even though overall all crime in broad categories are down, for example, persons crimes are down 27%, property crime overall is down 25%. But as you can see, what I've highlighted, and we've actually received some media attention, is the fact that our commercial or business burglaries are up, even though they're small numbers, up 120%. And just as recent as yesterday, we did a coordinated press release with the Washington County DA on what their stance is on these repeat offenders who continue to prey upon our business community during this time, and the level of felony that they'll bring to bear on those individuals. Because up until this week, anybody basically caught or arrested for a property crime had to be cited and released just because of the jail's measures of who they were letting into the jail. And so that wasn't a very good deterrent. And I'm happy to announce that Washington County has now put enough measures in there that they will take all felony crimes. So hopefully that will be a deterrent moving forward. The other thing that you always hear me talk about is our response times to priority 1 and 2 calls. And you can see for the first time, I believe possibly since my 3 years, we actually was less than 6 minutes. So 5 minutes and 78 this month. And obviously I think a lot has to do with the fact that we are not having to navigate around congested traffic, and that's been able to allow us to make our response time. Some of the other things I just want to touch base on is how we're trying to stay connected with the community. We've done a lot of parades. Communities have asked, anywhere from a memorial to a birthday party. We've tried to do drive-bys with our physical distancing and trying to celebrate those events when we know about them. We participated in a Chief for the Day with Hillsborough on a child battling cancer. That was over 250 different cars were there in that procession. We also did a K9 for the Day, and it technically really was about 30 minutes for K9 Jerry, who has terminal cancer, was able to come to headquarters and don on my chief badge and take a couple photos. Also, if you haven't tuned in, we are doing, this is our 3rd week of bedtime stories with the Tigard Police Department, and we've had over 1,700 views and probably 3,000 forwarded, passed along, and that's been very successful. So I encourage all of you to listen in on a bedtime story if you choose to. The other thing I'd like to just highlight is, again, during our normal times, we always talk about operating on minimum staffing in our shifts. But because of COVID-19, we see that we are able to actually fully staff most days. We're very rarely at minimums, as you can see on page 2. But, and that is just a reminder, we don't have any training, we don't have court, our officers aren't taking vacation. So we're enjoying a little bit of time where we actually have more officers staffed at this time. And again, that does allow us to do a lot of our high visibility patrols and also connect with the community on those other events. Budget-wise, we're doing well. We have 3 officers who would have been in the academy, but the academy is shut down. And so they've started their first phase of training with a training car just to keep their training going. We still have 3 vacancies. However, everything is pretty much stopped till psychologists are up and running again and we can do the physical. We have at least 6 people who've passed the backgrounds that we need to process. We're just waiting for businesses and the medical profession to open up a little bit more. And again, just in comparison to how does this look in all of Washington County, we just received some data today basically saying extra patrols everywhere are up about 80%. Trespass is up 90%. So again, I think we're seeing a lot of our transient folks that normally have places that they shelter in place are actually migrating around, and so that's all around Washington County. Those trespass notices are up. Warrant services, because again the jail is very restrictive, is down 85%, and no surprise, traffic accidents are down 70%. And that's it, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, council, questions for the chief?
Mr. Mayor, this is Councilor Newton. Chief, thanks for the report. I was also, because we don't have the SROs in the schools, they're assigned to patrol too as well, right? So that helps with the staffing a bit. So we've been able to pull some more people in. Is that correct?
That is correct. Both of them are assigned to day shift, and that does help us tremendously. And we still have the luxury of using our traffic officers as well on day shift. So again, we're still challenged, I think, on some of those multiple emergencies. And we've had a couple of those this last week, but by and large, at least staffing every day, we are above our minimums.
Thank you.
Other questions for the chief? Council President Goodhouse, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt. What are some of the things that people can do, since you were mentioning a little more of the trespass or some of the crimes and things? What are some of the just a little public announcement of what people, either business owners or citizens, can do to be a little bit more vigilant or safe?
Yeah, we actually did reach out and try and communicate with the public. As you are an avid runner, I would just say, instead of running on the paths and the trails, is perhaps even run by some of those businesses. The more eyes and ears that we have out there, the better all of us are on things that may look out of place. You know, for example, as we were doing our patrolling, we saw a ladder up against a building, and so we did some further checking, only to find out the business owner was taking advantage of a closed business and doing some repairs. But it was definitely worth us checking it out. And so even our commercial crimes unit has gone out and proactively talked with business owners. So I think just being aware of those businesses that are closed right now and helping them out. They're under a tremendous amount of stress, and so helping them out by kind of keeping an eye on their property and then giving us a call if something looks out of place.
All right, thank you, Chief. Unless council has any other questions for the chief or comments. All right, we will move on to item number or section D on the agenda, which is a Tigard Area Chamber of Commerce report out. Jessica Love, are you present?
I am. Hello. Jessica Love, Tigard Chamber of Commerce, Community and Membership Engagement. I'm so excited to see you all. It's been forever, I feel like. We have been busier than we've ever been. It's crazy. So, large update for you. Our Leadership Tigard program is continuing on. We've taken the program digitally. Today was Communications and Media Day. The class heard from Nathan Cook Coaching, got a virtual tour of TVC-TV, and got crisis communication training from TVF&R. We have, we are partnering with the City of Tigard's Economic Development Department and the Washington County Health Department to do industry-specific education webinars for businesses that are able to open up in phase one, so that we can help make sure that they have what they need and they're prepared for when that happens. We have joined the Americans Recovery Fund Coalition with more than 100 trade associations and business organizations advocating for a grant-based federal assistance program to power the resilience of American enterprise. This coalition members span over 30 different business sectors and employs more than 45% of the national workforce, which equals to about 58 million workers. We currently have representatives in Washington, D.C. advocating for this right now, and it's been getting a lot of press, so we're very excited to be a part of this. Over the last couple of months, we've been an information hub for the local business community. We have a COVID-19 resource page. We have a grants and loans page on our website that is continually being updated. We have been emailing our members with new information, resources, and funding as they become available since the beginning. We've been a listening ear for the businesses as they deal with being shuttered, huge revenue losses, and then closing and reopening of their businesses and more. We have hosted 4 educational panels. Topics include a marketing during a pandemic, CARES Act with the United States Chamber of Commerce, Tigard Cares, and a Tigard Safety Levy panel. And all of those recordings are available on our Facebook and YouTube channels for future review. And then we have been working on advocacy on a city, county, state, and federal level during all this time. And then we also have been in constant communication with the Tigard-Tualatin School District to connect them with businesses so that we can help feed the students and the families during this time. The Shining Stars Community Awards Gala has been postponed to August currently. We are currently planning out the details and what that looks like. It is going to look different this year. We are super excited that we've moved all of our business connection opportunities, so our networkings, all have been moved to digitally, and we've been able to retain the same amount of participation through this transition. So that's super exciting. And we want to invite any businesses that are looking for community to check out our events calendar and join us at one of our upcoming programs. And then please save the date for the Tigard Chamber annual meeting, which is going to be Thursday, June 25th from 8 to 9:30 a.m. And it's going to be held virtually over Zoom. And then your update for the Tigard Farmers Market. The market is planning to open Sunday, May 31st in downtown Tigard from 9 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. We're currently working on a vendor, staffing, and customer safety plan that we should be releasing within the next end of this week to early next week. And one thing that we're excited about is that we're adding in the opportunity to order online, and that is through an app called What's Good, and we'll be promoting more information soon about that. And then for Tigard Downtown Alliance, the Tigard Downtown Art Walk has been moved to the end of July. We're currently in the process of planning events that we want to encourage people to come downtown Tigard, but not create a large gathering. And then after reviewing the governor's phases, it is highly likely that the street fair will not be able to happen this year. So we are currently working on a plan to celebrate the reopening of downtown Tigard while keeping in mind the gathering restrictions that might still be in play. And then if you remember, we did Tigard Drinks for Good a while back, and that is coming back in a digital format. We are going to be hosting a happy hour next Friday, May 22nd. On Zoom, so look out for more information on that. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Wow, Jessica, both very thorough. And then on behalf of the entire city and the city council, I want to thank the chamber for partnering with the city so effectively and at some very critical times to really make sure that our business community is supported and has access to the best information and resources that we can provide. And so I just want to thank you for that. There may be some other questions or comments from other counselors, but I want to make sure that I express that deep appreciation.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We really appreciate the partnership with the city.
I was going to say just thank you to the chamber for all the information. The emails are coming out that are updating citizens and the business community, the advocating, being on top of everything, letting know when there's different programs available. It's been great. I see those constantly coming out. So this just really helps with businesses to really sort through all the chaos that's going on and all the noise.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Jessica, I also want to commend how quickly all of you adapted in order to be able to continue to maintain those relationships and allow people to connect. I think it's been a really important time for us to see each other, even if it's virtually. And just been really nice to be a part of. And, you know, I've participated in a couple of those things, and it's just, it's been really great. And the Chamber has just done a wonderful job. So thank you for all that you've done.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, Jessica. And we are going to move on to public comments. And I'm going to ask the city recorder if we've received any public comment for this meeting.
There was no public comment received, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda is used for routine items such as approval of minutes, receipt of council meeting calendars, proclamations, appointments to boards and committees, and approval of contracts or intergovernmental agreements with partner agencies. Approval may be enacted in one motion without separate discussion. Anyone may request that an item be removed by motion for discussion and separate action. On the consent agenda this evening, we have basically a bunch of city council meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
Councilor Anderson, I move for the adoption of the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that, Council President Goodhouse.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Councilor Newton, were you trying to second, or did you have a comment or a statement?
I was a second. I'm having problems with my microphone, but I think I have it figured out.
All right. Let's see. So it's been moved and seconded. City Recorder, please conduct a roll call vote.
Councilor Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Snyder?
Yes.
Council President Goodhouse?
Yes.
Councilor Newton?
Yes.
Councilor Loop?
Yes.
Okay, the consent agenda is adopted unanimously. We will now convene as the Town Center Development Agency Board for the next agenda item. So we are convening as the Town Center Development Agency, and the item to consider is approval of a third amendment to the development and disposition agreement with Ava Development. Mr. Fairley.
Good evening, Chair Snyder and the directors of the Town Center Development Agency. My name's Sean Farrelly. Good to see you all. Tonight, we're requesting board action on an amendment to the Disposition and Development Agreement between the Town Center Development Agency and Ava Tiger Development, LLC. So this agreement outlines the requirements for Ava to purchase two agency-owned properties on Main Street and construct a four-story building. On February 11th, the TCDA board approved the DDA amendment to date 3 months to May 12th, tonight, actually. Since then, Ava has obtained the BOLI determination and submitted their building permits, which I'm told are within 2 to 3 weeks of being approved. So the remaining DDA milestone is the completion of the final financing plan. Ava has to show their binding commitment letters and the documentation of financing the project. COVID-19 has created a lot of uncertainty in the financing of new commercial development. We've heard that from several players in the industry. And Ava reported that their financial investors they had been talking to and working with have basically put a hold on financing new projects like this. So Ava is requesting a 6-month extension to finalize the financing. The proposed third amendment to the DDA also adds a new requirement for an interim financing plan that they would show to us in August. So staff will be recommending approval of that third amendment. And ABE Siberian from Ava is available to answer any questions as well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Farrelly. Does Amy have any statement or presentation, or are we going straight to questions?
Good evening, everybody. I don't have anything else to add, except that this is an on-call challenging time for everyone, especially financially for a lot of entities and businesses. We have been in touch with the Columbia Credit Union, who has been looking at our financials in this project originally, and they were very interested to move forward. But at this point, they are just putting, they're not even considering any new financing. And they said for the next few months, that's the status of the bank. We also have talked to a few a broker with contact with a few investors that basically at this time, everything is under freeze. So we are kind of patient sitting on the sideline to see when this project can move forward, but we are interested. We do have an investor who's been with us from the beginning, and he's actually on board fully. So we're there and we're waiting for it. And I just heard the good news from Sean that our permits are shortly going to be issued. So that's a good thing out of all of this. But we are hanging in there and waiting. And we would love to get that extension from the board.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go counselor by counselor. So let's start with Council President Goodhouse. Any questions or comments?
Not offhand. I know that we had schedule we were following, but then with the change in the current environment, really throws things off. And with financing, you know, the bank's really focusing on all the different business loans from the government, so that's understandable on that part. But no questions. So.
Okay, Councilor Lube.
It feels like we're so close, doesn't it? But I don't have any questions. Just I'm in support of this in this unfortunate circumstance.
Councilor Newton.
I agree. I appreciate that some progress has been made. Got the bully letter and the permits are in, so that's a good thing. And this is kind of a challenging time. So given the circumstance, I agree.
Councilor Anderson.
Yeah, so the extension will be till November 12th, 2020. And
Right.
Is that on or before? So if they, for example, if they do get financing in October, will we go ahead at that time?
Right, November 12th is the deadline, so could be before that if they secure the financing.
On or before? Okay, thank
Right.
you.
Youth Councilor Turley, any questions or comments?
No, not right now.
All right. Board, is there a motion?
Councilor Anderson, I move to approve this agreement.
And that specifically is the third amendment to the development and disposition agreement with Waive Development LLC.
It is indeed.
Councilor Lube, I'll second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. City Recorder, please conduct a roll call vote.
Director Anderson,
Yes.
Chair Snyder,
Yes.
Director Goodhouse,
Yes.
Director Newton,
Yes.
Director Lube.
Yes.
All right, the third amendment to the development and disposition agreement with Waive Development LLC is adopted unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, staff, for continuing to work on this project. Amy and your team, thank you for continuing to be persistent during this challenging time, and we appreciate your partnership.
Thank you very much for approving the amendment.
Thank you.
All right, have a good evening. And we will now reconvene as the City Council for the remainder of the meeting. And the next item on the agenda is a quasi-judicial public hearing appeal of the Art Rutkin Elementary School conditional use permit. And Associate Planner and City Attorney will present the item.
Good evening, Mayor Snyder and City Council. My name is Monica Bilodeau, Associate Planner. The item before you tonight is a continuation of the appeal of the Art Rutkin Elementary School Conditional Use Permit. According to the schedule that was previously presented to you, tonight you are to deliberate and reach a tentative decision on the appeal. All rebuttals were sent to you for review, including a memo from Joe Wisniewski, our city assistant engineer. And staff is available to answer any questions you may have, but because the public hearing and record are now closed, we cannot introduce any new facts or evidence. Therefore, just as a reminder, any questions must be directed to what is already in the record. City Attorney Rahala will now address the issue of evidence raised by the applicant's final written argument.
Good evening, Council. On page 5 of the applicant's final written argument, there's a reference to an objection to something in the record. The statement made by appellant in one of their letters basically broadly referenced River Terrace Public Facilities Master Plans, plural. The applicant pointed out that this is a new issue, not responsive to what is currently being decided, which is sanitary sewer only. So to clarify, the issue on appeal is only compliance with the sanitary sewer master plan, not any of the other infrastructure plans in River Terrace. So we're not going to strike that from the record, but we do want to clarify that that is outside the scope of appeal and not something that would be appropriate for council to consider. So that's the only clarification.
Okay. So in summary, staff continues to find that the Art Rutkin Elementary School Conditional Use Permit as proposed meets or is conditioned to meet the Community Development Code. So staff continues, our recommendation is to deny the appeal and uphold the approval of the conditional use permit, the adjustment and sensitive lands review, subject to the findings and recommended conditions of approval in the hearings officer's decision. So tonight, staff is looking for council's tentative decision on the appeal and to direct staff to prepare findings in response to the testimony received for adoption at next week's meeting. And that concludes staff's presentation, and we're available to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. And you know, this has been an interesting process to go through on paper and with a lot of documents and not a lot of testimony and not a lot of questions so far. So I anticipate, I hope from staff's perspective, you're expecting a lot of questions because I think they're coming. And so I will reserve mine and let others go first, but let's start with questions of staff about and I would also ask staff if we step outside the record, please just tell us that. So, you know, we may have questions that you may have to say, there isn't evidence in the record and we can't talk about that. And that's okay. I just think you're going to need to help us with that. So let's start with Councilor Lube. What you got?
I had a sort of a general question. If the appeal is successful and there's no longer lot 1 and lot 2, and it's just the continual lot, how does that affect the plans, or what would be going on, or, you know, our response to this appeal?
Tom, did you want to respond to that?
Yes, I will respond to that. Good evening, Mayor Snyder and Council. Tom McGuire, Assistant Community Development Director. If the appeal is upheld by the Court of Appeals and they either remand or they reverse the decision, and this stays as one lot instead of two. The decision for the conditional use has been conditioned so that we wouldn't be issuing building permits for the facility until the final partition plat is recorded. So essentially, the district would have the choice of trying again with a different partition plan, or they can move forward with the site as a single lot, but then they would have to come back to us to modify their conditional use decision. We would, there's a few things related to utilities and facilities that we would differently if we were looking at a development on the entire lot as one, as opposed to two separate lots.
Okay. I had another question. Is there any other scenario sort of like this where a utility was constructed across the lot that was not set to be developed if this were to be two different lots?
If I understand your question, another situation where we had two lots owned by the same property owner that,
yes,
but they were only proposing to develop one of the two?
Yes. And I know this would probably be reaching. I'm curious as how unusual this is.
I don't recall one. It's not to say that it may not have been done in the past, but I don't recall one specifically.
Okay. Those are all my questions for right now.
Good. I got kicked out somehow. Can I hear what the first question was, Councilor Loon, that you asked?
What happens if the appeal is successful and there's just one lot instead of it being partitioned into two?
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Anderson.
I'm in agreement to agree with the staff. I appreciated the staff summary. Of course, everyone wants services as close as possible to their lots, but I think it was a good decision, and I have no further questions.
Councilor Newton.
I think I got the microphone to work. Thanks. I basically had the same similar questions as Councilor Lube. I think, it seems a little odd to me because we don't really know what's going to happen with Lot 2, but the city had approved it, so we're looking at a development on Lot 1 that meets the criteria. I was interested in the evaluation on the sewer, installation of the sewer, the way the district proposed, but the memo from Assistant City Engineer was helped because it looks like conditions have changed somewhat so that the plan that the district came up with meets the River Terrace sanitary sewer plan proposal. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens if the Court of Appeals rules differently. But I think given the circumstances with the condition that we have in place, this is appropriate to deny the appeal.
All right, Council President Goodhouse.
I don't have any further questions.
So I guess to the city attorney and to staff, I want to, I want to make sure I understand your perspective, because there's been a number of issues raised by the folks representing the adjacent property owner. And I guess I just want to make sure we understand exactly why the staff don't find any of the concerns that they've raised to meet or be part of the criteria that we have to make our decision on. City Attorney Rahala, would you mind kind of briefly going through that?
Actually, I think I'll defer to Mr. McGuire on that one.
Okay, Mr. McGuire.
Well, I guess I would start out with in treating the site as as 2 lots, which we have because the partition has been completed as far as the city of Tigard is concerned. It's gone through all of our processes and appeals, and so as far as a decision, in treating that as 2 lots, we would normally apply the criteria that regulate utilities on the lot where the site or the lot where the development is proposed. So in this case, they were only proposing development under our code on lot 1. Lot 2 is they are constructing their stormwater facility, but that's not considered part of the development because they're essentially beginning what will be a regional stormwater facility. So we're only looking at development on lot 1, so that's the only lot that we apply the criteria to. So in that case, I'm going to forget the code citation off the top of my head, but the one that applies to sanitary sewer is that it has to be supplied to and through the lot to be developed. So they have to bring sanitary sewer to their lot, to their development, and it has to pass through that lot that they're developing on to an edge that can be accessed by any other lots.
Which presumably in this context would be their other lot.
Correct.
Okay. And so the staff have found that criteria has been met with the plans as proposed. Correct.
Our staff worked with them to determine one of the issues that they were dealing with is it's a fairly steeply sloping lot from north to south. So in order to get gravity sewer from their site all the way out to River Terrace Boulevard, they couldn't go to the southern property line. They're about as low down the lot as they possibly can to still get gravity sewer. So that brought it in. If you look at the map, it's probably just a little south of the center of the lot.
And just to be clear, the development of the stormwater facility on the adjacent lot, which is going to be a regional facility, does not trigger the requirements of a project on the second lot. Is that also what you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay, and that's very clearly delineated in our development code?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have further questions. We are not taking, are we taking a vote tonight, or are we, I'm trying to be clear on the process. You're asking for a tentative decision. Do you want that tentative decision to include an actual vote, City Attorney?
Yes, please. We'd like a tentative vote of council, what direction you want to go, and then a direction for staff to come back next meeting with supplemental findings to adopt.
Last question I'm going to ask of staff is, there were some alternative conditions that were suggested by the adjacent property owners council. Were any of those conditions things that the staff felt were appropriate to include?
No.
Okay. And again, that's because none of them are required by the development code?
Correct.
Okay.
I would also, if I could, I would also add that these issues were brought up during the hearing before the hearings officer, and our hearings officer did not see those issues as being required under the code as well.
Okay. I mean, that's essentially the question that's on appeal before us, right? I mean, at the core of it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Is there, so I've concluded based on my review of the record and all the information that is available to me that I support the tentative denial of the appeal, and I think multiple other counselors have said the same thing. So I think I need a motion and a second. Counselor Anderson, this looks like a good one for you to make the motion on.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I move to tentatively deny the appeal by Kevin and Jillian Dressel of CPU 2019-00001 / SRLR 2019-00003 / ADJ 2019-00008 -0009 and direct staff to prepare findings for the adoption by council on May 19th.
That is quite possibly the most complicated motion we've ever had before council. Is there a second?
Council President Goodhouse, second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. City Recorder, please conduct a roll call vote.
Counselor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor Snyder,
Yes.
Council President Goodhouse,
Yes.
Counselor Newton,
Yes.
Counselor Lube.
Yes.
All right, motion is passed unanimously. And we will now, this will be coming back before the council again with final findings. Is that correct, City Attorney?
Correct. You will see it next week with final findings, and the resolution will conclude this hearing.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, this is Mike Nollup. I'm going to take a 30-second technical break. Your words are not matching your video, so I'm going to exit the meeting and join back in. So just pause for one quick second if we can.
Okay.
Okay, we're good to go. Thank you very much. Sorry about that.
Okay. We're back matching audio and video?
It is much better, yes.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to item number 7, consideration of a resolution to approve utility fee credits. Mr. LaFrance.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Toby LaFrance, Finance and Information Services Director. Let me bring up our presentation for this evening. One moment, please. Hold on. All right, finally, just one moment. It seemed to be not wanting to go to presentation format. Hold on just a moment. Just one more time. There we go. Okay, thank you. Again, my name is Toby LaFrance. I'm the Finance and Information Services Director for the City of Tigard, Oregon. What's before you this evening, Council, is a resolution enabling some additional utility billing assistance programs. What I'd like to do is cover some of the work that Council has already done on behalf of its utility customers, and then go into the programs that are before you this evening. So as utility bills are one of the areas where the City Council has the latitude to reach constituent residents and businesses, this has been an area of discussion from early in the city's response to the pandemic. With Council's first COVID-related decisions back on March 17th, Council waived late utility fees and suspended water shutoff actions for all of its customers. And a few weeks later, in conjunction with enabling assistance for businesses with the Tiger Cares Act, where we've been able to leverage $300,000 of city funds to have roughly $1 million worth of aid for city businesses, and address houselessness with an additional $100,000 granted through the RAFT program. Council's expressed interest in helping. At that same meeting, Council expressed interest in helping additional residents. On April 21st, Council agreed to delay utility rate increases for 6 months from their scheduled increases on July 1st, and delay them until January 1st. This is a program that's helping all customers, residential and commercial customers alike. And for a typical residential account that has a smaller 5/8 inch meter, this will save that account roughly $9 a month, or for the 6 months, $54. So that's actual money in the pockets of households in the city of Tigard. And even more so for a commercial account with a 1-inch meter, that account would save roughly $70 a month, or $420 over the 6 months of this program. Currently, and this will be one of the items in front of you this evening, Tigard has a low-income assistance program. That is something that we contract with St. Vincent de Paul, and we can take customers that are having a difficult time paying their utility bill, direct them to St. Vincent de Paul, and then they manage the program on our behalf. They use HUD as a screening tool to determine if they're eligible for the assistance, and that they meet HUD standards for low income. And then they're able to pay the water portion of the utility bill through that program. With the current program, a customer is eligible for 3 water payments per year and up to $200 total over that 12-month period. What we will be suggesting this evening is that between now and the end of December, that we remove the limits on the number of months per year and the dollar limit. So St. Vincent de Paul has agreed that they would run this expanded program. This means that this program will allow eligible low-income customers to have the water portion of their bill paid in full every month through December. So going back to that April 7th council meeting where council expressed a desire to provide additional assistance, staff looked first to see how much assistance could be provided. Ultimately, we were able to determine that we could provide roughly $750,000 worth of additional assistance. This is what we could do without severely impacting the city's operations, capital program, and also, and importantly, maintain our ability to meet our bond covenants. We have to have a certain amount of revenue compared to our operating expenses and debt service combined. We need to meet those thresholds of at least 1.1 times the revenue compared to those costs. Any further assistance beyond $750,000 would put that at risk, which would impact our bond rating and our ability to effectively and efficiently borrow money in the future for our utility customers. If council at a later date wishes to provide further utility bill assistance beyond this $750,000, staff would recommend that we wait to be able to do a mid-year analysis, find out how our utility sales are going and how our expenses are shaping up to see if we'd still be able to meet those bond covenants. So when thinking of how much assistance to provide individual customers, staff started with the thought of waiving the base fee. Council's heard us talking about waiving a base fee a couple of times, and having customers then continue to pay for the amount of water and other services that they use. When adding together the city's revenue from base fees for water, sewer, and stormwater for a customer, again with that 5/8 inch water meter, the total is $42.62. In looking at going beyond and looking at what it takes to administer a utility bill assistance program, how we'd want to be communicating the utility bill assistance program, we determined that we would want to take that and just round it to be $40 a month. This will be available regardless of the suite of services provided, and this is part of where the administration comes in. While most of our customers are billed for water, sewer, storm, parks and recreation fee, and the street maintenance fee, we have some customers that we do billing for that are not water customers for City of Tigard. They receive water from a separate utility. However, we still bill the sewer and the stormwater and parks and streets. Also, we have customers outside of the City of Tigard that we provide water to in King City, City of Durham, and for the Tigard Water District, which is unincorporated Washington County around the Bull Mountain area. So with the program that we're looking at, it would be $40 per month, regardless of the suite of services provided. And we would look at beginning this program next week on Wednesday, May 20th. So as we've already helped all customers through the delay of rating and looked at expanding the help that's being provided to low-income customers, staff focused on the sector of customer base that has been most directly affected by the pandemic, those households that are experiencing unemployment. What we're looking at doing is the $40 a month would be available to any household that's experiencing unemployment that receives a utility bill, again, regardless of that suite of services. Also, one of the benefits with providing to unemployment is something that is verifiable through documentation received from the state employment division. Also, there's been interest to provide additional relief for businesses. We already had the Tigard CARES Act. However, we still have a number of commercial customers that are providing utility bills and are struggling with the economic impacts of the pandemic. The challenge that we do have with the business community is finding something that is verifiable. And as staff was working on this, and we've been working with Lloyd Purdy and other economic staff with the City of Tigard, ultimately what we're recommending is that for commercial utility customers that they self-certify that they've been shut down or otherwise adversely impacted by the pandemic to qualify for the $40 per month credit. So getting to how we're going to take that $750,000 and share it between these two programs. To allocate it, what staff did is we analyzed the relative contributions made by these two customer classes to our water revenue, and determined that that those relative contributions resulted in 83% of the revenue coming from residential customers and 17% from commercial. With that share, looking and using that share as a way to split the $750,000, staff is recommending a budget of $625,000 for the unemployed program and $125,000 for commercial customer assistance. Each of these programs will be available through December or until the budget is completely used for either of those programs. It is worth noting that preliminary national unemployment rate for April is just below 15%. If that rate is applied to the 16,000 Tigard residential customers that receive a utility bill from the City of Tigard, that would translate into 2,400 homes being helped each month. It's also worth noting that's likely that a higher percentage of businesses have been adversely impacted. So with these budgets, if we have a higher percentage of commercial customers being impacted, it's likely that they may run out of their budget prior to residential customers, meaning that the residential aid would last. Now, also we have a communications plan that we've been working on. We will be taking these programs all 4 of the programs that we've been discussing here, promote them on the city's website and social media. We'll be reaching out with our water partners at the City of Durham and King City and the Tigard Water District. We will distribute this information to all water customers in the next printed document version of No H2O, and also we'll be including this in the community resource guide, which among other things is going to be distributed in food boxes through the Tigard Tualatin School District. So in terms of council action, the late fee waiver and no shutoffs, that was taken care of already on March 17th. The delay of the fee increases, while approved by council in concept on April 21st, will become effective with the master fees and charges resolution that you'll be approving during the budget hearing. Tonight's resolution requests staff to enact the expanded low income assistance program and enacts the unemployment and business assistance programs. That concludes the presentation for this evening. And I'm here as well as some other key staff from our utility providers to answer any questions that council may have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. LaFrance. Let's go to questions from Youth Councilor Turley.
Thank you so much for that presentation. It was really helpful. I don't have any additional questions at this time, but I just want to say thank you again for all the work that staff has been putting in on this. It's really helpful.
All right, Council President Goodhouse.
Yeah, I echo that. Thank you for all the work, and thank you for including the businesses in there. One thing I think this was mentioned last time. So is this going to be for Tigard residents only and Tigard businesses only that fall into the city limit, or are they going to fall into? Is this going to fall into the utility, the ones we provide water that anywhere that would be outside the city of Tigard? And if so, is it possible just to limit it to Tigard residents?
So Council President Goodhouse, it is designed to be provided to anybody who receives a bill from the city of Tigard, which means that would include businesses and households in the city of Durham, King City, and Tigard Water District customers that we serve. We do have intergovernmental agency agreements that essentially say we will treat those utility customers the same way we would treat our own customers. And additionally, they are all customers that are contributing to revenue to our system, and that receive services from our system.
Yeah, I was going to make that point too. If we were to change that, we'd literally be subsidizing Tigard businesses and residents at the expense of other entities' customers, and that's from an equity, fairness, and frankly, even our written agreements is not acceptable.
Good point. Thank you.
All right. Anything else, Council President Goodhouse?
No, I'm in support of it. Thank you.
Councilor Lube.
So I have an actual conflict, and I recuse myself from this item.
Okay. Thank you. Councilor Newton.
Hey, I just want to thank staff for being so responsive on this. I think you did a good job creating the program pretty quickly that reflects what the council was interested in doing. I know it's challenging, but we've got to do what we can to be as they need now. So I appreciate it, and I don't have any questions. Thanks.
Councilor Anderson.
No questions.
So I want to echo the thanks of staff for working really hard. I know these types of programs are not easy to put together in a very short period of time, and to do them well. I think this has been thought through, and I appreciate the work that's been done. I do have a question about, or just maybe a comment about making sure that we communicate the availability of this program to the various social service agencies that help Tigard residents and residents of the other local communities that we serve. I'm thinking about the DHS, kind of the combined DHS Community Action Office that's down in South Tigard. There's just a number of entities that interact with people that need assistance on a regular basis, and I'm sure they're even more overwhelmed now than they typically are. And so making sure that they're aware of this program, in addition to just telling Tigard utility billing customers via an insert, and then also communicating to the various cities and jurisdictions, I think that's good. But I think telling the people that talk to folks that are most in need is probably going to be really helpful as well. So I'd like to ask that. And then, Toby, is there a way that you could put your slides? I hate to do this to you, but can you put your slides back up? Because I had a question about one of the slides, and now I don't think we have it in our packet, and I can't reference them on my own computer. So is there a way you can, let me see if I can find it.
So which slide would you like to go to, Mr. Mayor?
Keep going. I think it's 2 or 3 in. I forget now. I can't read them that fast, but
I'm sorry.
I mean, they're literally moving so fast on my screen. They were just going from slide to slide.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'll have to follow up. I don't want to take everybody's time on that, but it was when you took a big pause, and I tried to unmute myself. Do you remember when you took a big pause between what slides?
I believe it was between the talking about the assistance per customer and then the individual programs. So this is where we covered, here's our budget, both in terms of total and per customer. And then we launched into the programs themselves.
Okay, is the $40, is that the amount that the same amount that a business would potentially be eligible for too?
It is the amount that we are recommending they would be eligible for. Totally recognize that most commercial customers, $40 isn't going to help as much as it might for a household in terms of the percent of the total bill. Again, it was a matter of trying to, and if council wants to use a different dollar figure, we could do that. Trying to make sure that the program can last as long as possible for the commercial customers. We decided to recommend keeping it at the $40 per month assistance.
Okay. All right. If I figure out what my other question was, I will ask you about it afterwards, I think. Okay. Is there a motion or further discussion?
I actually have one last question, Council President Goodhouse.
Go ahead.
Last time, Councilor Anderson kind of brought up a point. How do we differentiate between the business and the building owner? If the building owner pays for all the tenants, would it just be the 40 off that whole amount, or would it be per tenant, or do we determine how that worked? Or if the individuals have their own water bills, obviously they'd get that portion off. Do we jump into that realm at all, or are we going to figure that out as we go?
That's one, the program as we've designed it, it will be the utility bill customer that's receiving the relief. So if you have, someone where their business is, they own a strip mall that is being used by a number of businesses, it's that utility billing customer, the strip mall owner, that will receive the relief.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted a clarification on that.
It'll be difficult. It'll be difficult for them to attest to attest that their business has been affected unless they have people that aren't, or commercial tenants that aren't paying rent, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't really be able to justify or attest to that.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right. Anything further?
No.
Is there a motion?
Council President Goodhouse, I move to approve resolution number 20-24.
I second the motion. Councilor Anderson.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. City Recorder, please read the number and title of the resolution.
Resolution 20-24, a resolution approving a monthly utility credit for unemployed residential customers of Tigard Utilities.
City Recorder, please conduct a roll call vote.
Councilor Anderson.
Yes.
Mayor Snyder.
Yes.
Council President Goodhouse.
Yes.
Councilor Newton.
Yes.
And Councilor Lube.
I abstain.
Okay, resolution number 20-24 is approved with 4 yes votes and 1 abstention. Thank you. Let's move on to item number 8, consideration of a resolution to waive alarm permit fees. Mr. LaFrance.
Mr. Mayor, this is Marty Wine, your city manager.
Yes.
I'm not sure if on the council's green sheet tonight we actually had Mr. LaFrance lined up to present this. So I'm going to shift gears, and unless Toby tells me that he wants to present it, I'll go ahead and queue this up for council consideration.
Please do.
Okay. And I don't hear, Toby, I don't hear you interrupting me, so I'll go ahead. At your last meeting on April 21st, council also directed staff to consider other financial assistance, and particularly whether or not to consider suspending late fees. And on our review of our master fees and charges, what we found was that the late fees that that accrue to the fees that we have are just in 2 areas: business license fees and the alarm permit. So one option related to the alarm permits is to defer or waive certain fees that are associated with the permit program. We have before you tonight a resolution to defer the due date for fees associated with the initial alarm permit, waiver of late fees, and to suspend permit revocations for failure to pay through December 31st of 2020. This program is designed so that we still need alarm users to meet the permit requirement, or the program requirement to register their alarms through the Tigard Police Department, so that alarm users will properly maintain their alarm system and to reduce the number of false alarms. That still requires resources to respond to them. We have a section in the Tigard Municipal Code, Chapter 1108, that requires users to have a valid alarm permit, and this resolution doesn't change that requirement, but and permit program enforcement would continue. So anything that isn't waived per this ordinance would still accrue, such as repeated violations. So staff has before you a resolution that we would recommend your approval for a deferral of alarm permit fees. And we do have staff, our finance director, our police chief, city attorney, we're all available to answer any questions you have on this item.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Anderson, any questions or comments?
No questions.
Councilor Lube.
No questions for me.
Councilor Newton.
I don't have any questions, and I think this is a good resolution. I think it's really important to make sure that people do file their alarm permits. We need to make sure we have that information for the program. So I think this is a good way to address this issue.
Thank you. Youth Councilor Turley, any comments or questions?
I agree with what Councilor Newton said.
Council President Goodhouse.
No questions. I want to thank staff again on taking a look at this, and I think this will be, as I mentioned before, every little bit helps the businesses. So it's so important that they file them, but and that we're collecting at a later date in the deferrals, but and then waiving the late fees is great. So I appreciate the work on this.
And this, just to clarify, this does impact both residents and businesses, correct?
Correct. This would be any alarm permit holder.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion?
Council President Goodhouse, I move to approve resolution number 20-25.
Counselor Lube, I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. City Recorder, please read the number and title of the resolution.
Resolution number 20-25, a resolution deferring certain alarm permit fees until December 31st, 2020, and waiving late fees.
City Recorder, please conduct a roll call vote.
Counselor Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Snyder?
Yes.
Council President Goodhouse?
Yes.
Counselor Newton?
Yes.
Counselor Lube?
Yes.
Okay, resolution number 20-25 is adopted unanimously. What kind of communication plan do we have around this? Are we doing or planning press releases for each of these programs in addition to the other communications? I guess I didn't ask that about the last assistance program, but it seems like, you know, not only do that we need to communicate this to direct customers and users, but also more broadly in the community. Is there a plan to do so?
Mr. Mayor, for now, what I'll say is we certainly can do press releases for both of the assistance programs that you've just approved. I think the intention with the alarm permit program is that because that renews, that's not a single date for renewal, we can advertise the fact that the deferral is available, and for permit holders who want assistance can contact the police department directly to seek it, and then and also notify with every renewal that the assistance is available, and that takes the form of a letter.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to item number 9, COVID-19 response and recommendations. City Manager Wine. You are on mute, City Manager Wine. Sorry.
Thank you. Actually, Mr. Mayor, I don't have anything to do with this item except to queue it up for our 2 presenters tonight. At your meeting last week on the 21st, we had 2 other areas of assistance and support related to COVID-19 response that we're developing, and we wanted to give you reports about those efforts tonight. One focuses on digital access and how we will be expanding digital access through a planning process. And Assistant City Manager Kathy Nyland will give you an update about our developing plans for that. And then our Economic Development Manager Lloyd Purdy can give you a report related to business support and the way Tigard can launch a business support campaign. And I think what we're looking for tonight is your guidance and direction about how these might work. So we've got varying level of detail about how these are going to work, and we're really looking for feedback from you and guidance about what you want to see going forward. So I'll hand it over to Kathy and Lloyd for their presentations.
Thank you, Ms. Wine. Kathy, do you want to go first, or would you like me to go first?
How about I'll go first because I have a feeling mine will be much shorter than yours.
Okay.
Good evening, Council. This is Kathy Nyland, the Assistant City Manager, making my big reveal. Ta-da! So tonight I'm going to talk about digital access. This was a topic, as Marty mentioned, that was discussed briefly at your April 21st meeting. As we've seen during this pandemic, internet is often the safest and only option for people to connect. So our task was to create solutions to this very challenging situation. We've broken this down into 3 segments. We've taken immediate action since that April 21st meeting. We have reactivated Wi-Fi at our city-owned public facilities. That includes creating public versions, access points at our Public Works campus and our IT campus. Those are just temporary until staff come back to those buildings. We've also worked with the library. WCCLS has removed their schedule, so public Wi-Fi is now available 24/7 at that facility. As far as short term, we've identified a few possibilities to expand public access for public use. That is to make public access permanent at the facilities I just mentioned, and that would, of course, as the memo indicated, that would be an investment with funds. The other option we could follow is to create more access by expanding the library's hotspot program. Currently, the library has 11 hotspots available. Those are often checked out. There's a waiting list. So one thought was to broaden that program and invest some funding to provide more hotspots for the public to use. And as far as our long-term plan, we felt we really needed to get a current assessment of our community to determine who has access, who doesn't, what are the barriers, is it affordability, is it capabilities? So we are thinking of doing a community-wide survey to really determine, again, who has access, what are the barriers, and how we can overcome those. So those are the steps we've taken. What we've already done, we've identified a couple short-term possibilities, and then we're working on a long-term plan to really address digital access and digital equity.
All right, can we take questions on your part first before we go to Mr. Purdy? Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, Councillor Lube.
I don't have any questions, but I want to say thank you to the city staff who really heard us when we talked about being worried about the inequities and the importance of internet connection. I really like the idea of going out to the community and reaching them where they are and seeing what their status is, as well as getting some more library hotspots. I think the library, since they already have a program, is the best place to increase the amount of hotspots. So thank you for the work that you're doing and updating us.
Great, thank you.
All right, Councillor Newton.
I don't know why I'm having so much trouble with my microphone. Sorry. Yeah, I think investing in the hotspots of the library is a good idea, especially since there seems to be a waiting list there. That's important. I've heard, as I've been talking with the community tangentially, that the school district has information about what the needs in the community are, and I imagine that you've been in touch with them, but yep. I know you've got concerns, and so that might be a place to get some information and figure out a way to move forward. So it will be interesting to see what segments of our community are in most need, but yep. We'll have to wait and see. Thanks.
Yep, and we are working with the school district.
Councillor Anderson.
I agree with everything said. Keep going. I don't know what kind of direction you want tonight, but the hotspots are interesting, of course, and I don't know how expensive they are. Do we have to do that during the budget cycle, or we have cash for that now? But anyway, just continue to go.
Great.
Yeah.
Youth Councillor Turley.
I just wanted to say thank you again and echo what Councillor Lube said. I really appreciate the input. Digital access is increasingly important as this continues on. So I really appreciate what the city's doing to expand options for hotspots during this time.
Thank you. Council President Goodhouse.
I like the idea of reaching out and seeing what the needs are and talking to the other organizations and seeing how we can partner with other people. I think while we're communicating some of the other past resolutions we just did, and especially the nonprofits and those people doing that, it'd be good to, while we're also talking to them and let them know what programs we've passed, it'd be good to talk to them and find out what they're seeing, what the needs are, and what we can do to help. And as always, it's just good to partner with other organizations, maybe see what the county libraries are doing, and as well, but I like that we're looking at other options and keep reaching out to people. And the best way is to do little surveys or see what people really need. But I agree, right during these times that when people are used to going to the library or coffee shops and they can't go to those places, this is important.
Great.
All right. Any other last comments, questions, or thoughts? Okay, Mr. Purdy.
Mr. Mayor, real quick, it's Councilor Newton. Two things really quick. I think when we're surveying the community, it would be interesting to find out, as Council President Goodhouse just said, what options have they had in the past that have been displaced? Because people may have had options that they don't have anymore that may return. I don't know. And the other thing is the survey, I'm wondering, I can't remember the cost, but is that something that we're going to be having to look at through the budget process, which starts Saturday? So
right.
That's the question.
Right. It's currently not included in the budget process because the budget was developed before we had this discussion. And we can talk more about that at that meeting or in further meetings. Okay. Thank you for your feedback.
Council President Goodhouse, before you go, a thought that popped in my head is if we're looking at offering the hotspots or things like that, I don't know if we want to maybe reach out to the wireless carriers or the internet providers and see if that's something that they might be able to donate some of those hotspots or some of those services. I don't know, that might, rather than us looking at paying for it, it might be something that they might be willing to donate and help out with. It's always good to check with them first.
Agree. We are making those connections and having those conversations.
Great.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
All right, Lloyd.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Lloyd Purdy. I'm your Economic Development Manager, and I'm sharing a screen with you. So does the Council see this PowerPoint in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, great. On April 21st, Council requested that staff create a program, a two-way dialogue with Tigard's business community to find out about their current needs and support an open for business campaign. And many of those pieces we had in play, but as we finalized some of that work, colleagues of mine at the city, I'm advancing the slide here, bear with me. Colleagues at the city, some of our brightest, including Assistant City Manager Kathy Nyland and our Community Development Director Kenny Asher, came up with a brilliant approach to this campaign you've asked for, and we're calling it Tigard Works, with you and for you. This is as you requested, it's a business-focused campaign. It's also customer-oriented because as we move into recovery, it's the interaction with customers that many of our businesses will need in order to return to a stabilized economy. At the staff level, we like this idea of Tigard Works because it emphasizes cooperation, and it also provides us some flexibility. Under this theme, we can continue some programs we started and introduce some new programs. So let me tell you a little more about Tigard Works in concept. Again, it's focused on both initially primarily businesses, but also our community and our residents. It builds on and advances our existing programs. And right from the start, because we've had some runway and we've had some projects moving forward, it starts with a three-part business support campaign. And one of these you know about, the Tigard Cares program. I'm going to make sure you learn a little bit more about that tonight. It also includes the Shop Tigard program that we created 6 or 7 weeks ago, and then a new program, informally, we're calling that Recovery Ready. So of these three programs we're rolling out under the banner of Tigard Works, let me remind you about Tigard Cares. That is a grant and loan program, a business assistance program using city funds. It was mentioned earlier tonight that through the $300,000 that the council authorized, we've been able to create a program that ultimately will provide almost $1 million in support for businesses. The grant phase has been completed. 94 grants were awarded. The loan phase with our CDFI partner Craft3 is almost done. They have just a little bit of funding left to disperse. And we're entering what I'm calling phase 3, which is a small loan phase. We're doing that again with our partners at MISO, Micro Enterprise Solutions of Oregon. Right now, that program is focusing on helping businesses move into the recovery phase and getting ready to open back up again. So that's why the timeline for this, as you see on my notes, are April through June. It might go a little beyond that, but it's something we rolled out strong and quickly in April and will continue with. That was focused specifically on Tigard firms. We partnered with the Chamber of Commerce as a brainstorming partner of mine to create this program. Of course, we partnered with MISO and Craft3, two of our CDFI partners, in order to very efficiently and quickly roll out this program. Something we learned, and it's no surprise, there's more requests for funding from businesses than we have available. At last count, there was just under 400 requests from businesses for support. Daily, I hear from businesses asking if we have any more funding or any available way to help them. So that's the challenge of that program. I've switched screens now to a browser, and I want to make sure you all have a chance to see some of the stories we're seeing from businesses that have been awarded grants. My colleague Dylan DK Bemis has been following up with firms that were awarded the grants. Again, of those 94 firms, we've had a chance to talk with some of them and hear their stories. And you can see on this page we're sharing those stories. You're seeing just the summary. Behind each of these intros is a longer story. And you can see just by the pictures, I know you don't have time to read it now, but you can see just by the pictures the range of businesses and entrepreneurs that we've been able to help with Tigard Cares. I'm super pleased and proud of that we've been able to help a range of firms. We know we can't help all 400 firms. We certainly can't help all 3,000 firms in the city, but this program did really good work focusing on a great range of entrepreneurs that are all being able to stabilize their business through this pandemic. So this page is online. It's open for anybody to read about. There's even a chance, I think, for businesses to post some have posted their own stories, and in some cases we've gone out and asked them to share with us. We'll continue to do this, and eventually we'll wrap in stories about those entrepreneurs that are receiving loans. I know the Portland Business Journal did a story about our program in partnership with Craft3, and they featured some familiar names, and you would have seen that in an excerpt from the Portland Business Journal. So we've included Tigard Cares as a part of Tigard Works because we're continuing that program, and that's our strongest business assistance program to date. The second program I want to make sure you hear about, again, is something we're calling Shop Tigard. We started this very early in this economic crisis. Again, this initiative was led by Dylan DK Bemis, my colleague, within days of recognizing that there was going to be a severe and long challenge for businesses. He created Shop Tigard. It's a promotional program. Again, we started it in March. We'll continue it at least through July. So far, 60 firms have signed up, and that's what's really exciting about this. It's a crowdsourced program. We've invited the community, residents, customers to go to a website and tell a story about a firm that they're still able to shop at because they're getting a gift certificate, home delivery, or takeout. We've also invited businesses that want to participate, and again, 60 have to date, to post on this website that they're still open for business. So this is the landing page where we invite businesses and residents to go to. And much like the last page, there's a chance for businesses to tell their story, to tell everybody that what they're doing, it's interesting and novel and unique, and how they're doing it, and they can write their own story. And that's a smart way to connect with our businesses. Even more interesting with the Shop Tigard program is the map, where a resident can click on this map and find out which firms are open or doing something interesting. If you're hungry and you know your favorite lunch shop might be open for takeout, you can click on one of the buttons, and on the left side of the screen you can see that Maria Latina, the restaurant, is still open with gift cards and doing takeout. And again, the business can add their information here, or a customer can add information here. They can also sort by if they're looking for a takeout bar or tap room, or more likely a takeout cafe or a retailer. So this is a fairly high functioning mapping tool. And as I've stressed, the thing I like most about this is it's crowdsourced. We've gone to our business community, and we are continuing to go to our residents, our public, our customers, asking them to put their favorite business on the map. This site, again, is open to the public. Anybody can read these stories or go to the map. We do curate it to make sure it's well maintained and everybody is well behaved, but this is publicly accessible. And I want to stress, we started this program through Dylan's good idea very early in this initiative. So that's the second program that we can roll out under this umbrella of Tigard Works. And again, they're both these programs are business focused. This has an equal component for residents to participate in. The last program I want to share with you that we are about to roll out is informally called Recovery Ready. It's a business training program. It'll start hopefully next week. It'll run through June. We're focusing on 4 business sectors, those frontline business sectors most heavily impacted by business closures. So that's restaurant and retail, personal services, professional services. I guess it's restaurant and retail. That's 1 and 2, personal services and professional services. We're doing this in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce, as well as Washington County, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute. What we're doing is hosting a series of webinars where we bring in a technical expert that can explain to a business how they can safely reopen. It's not about explaining when to reopen or how to reopen. It's about how to be safe when a business is interacting again with employees and with what we call our residents and public, but what they call their customers. It also includes a self-certification program where a business will be invited to post on their door a poster that says they are meeting or exceeding the standards of their industry. And this is a chance for businesses to communicate to customers that they are the right place for business. This program in particular was co-produced and will be co-produced with our partners at the Chamber of Commerce. It had input from a focus group of businesses that Debbie Mullahan, the director of the Chamber, gathered. I'm doubly excited about this program because last week when I was on a conference call with the governor, she was of course talking about reopening, and somebody, and it wasn't me, asked, who's going to help the businesses that are reopening figure out how to do it well? And there was silence. And I sat back in my chair behind my computer and smiled because I know we have figured out in Tigard how to do that. We've created this webinar training program for businesses. So Washington County is an important partner here because we're going to tap their health professionals to do this training. It'll be sector specific, one training for each of these businesses. The trainings will be recorded, and we'll make sure we get word out about that through a couple of channels. One more program I want to talk to you about, and this relates, is the page we've developed, and it's a long one. It's the page we've developed with an FAQ as questions from businesses come up. You see that on the right-hand side, as well as a long list of the business resources we've compiled when we have an email or a request from a business. And when we know the answer, we tell them. And then we share that information on this website. So this has been a chronology, in fact, of all the resources we've heard about to help businesses, all in a convenient page. So I mention this now because very much like the Recovery Ready program, this page and that program focus on making sure the businesses are ready and prepared and can make wise decisions as we head into what we hope is a recovery phase. There's one more key to this program, and it's communications. In fact, it's communications and community engagement. We've been curating and building and reestablishing a email roster of firms in Tigard, and we use that to push out a business update. We do that about weekly. No, we try not to do it more than weekly, but that's our most consistent tool for communicating with businesses. But as you can tell from programs like Shop Tigard, we also have a need to connect with residents so that those customers become comfortable coming back into a retail, a restaurant, or a business setting. And that was a concern I heard when we had these focus group discussions with the chamber. Businesses want to make sure Tigard residents know that they're open for business and doing it the right way. So this is why these programs include a substantive communications and community engagement program. We'll be relying upon Cityscape, the citywide newsletter, the city's social media platform, and we will continue to rely on old-fashioned print mail to get the word out about these programs. And we're doing that in partnership with the city's communications team. I mentioned the word team. I want to draw your attention first to the bottom of this page, which highlights the team that's assembled around Tigard Works. It is a citywide effort, but with that, I can pause my presentation and ask if you all have any questions about Tigard Works as a campaign or about any of the 3 programs that are up and ready to roll out under that banner.
So, Mr. Purdy, I'm going to take the chair's prerogative and speak first. I don't usually do that, but I'm going to do it this time. And I want to thank you for, I was really glad to see the communications part of that at the end. I wasn't sure what was coming. I was a little concerned about whether we had that covered. I would ask that we make sure that I guess looking at it, my reaction is that even going to be enough? And so I guess I would emphasize the communications components of that, particularly for residents and getting that message out. I mean, social media is certainly one way to do it, the Cityscape, print stuff, but I think we're going to have to, I don't know how creative we can be, but I think somehow we're going to have to get people engaged and interested in sort of coming out of their houses and coming safely to our downtown and to the rest of our business community through some creative means. And I'm thinking of ways that we could do that, even engaging the community with, I I don't know if you know about the sort of rock hiding tradition or the rock painting process in Tigard, but an example to, really engage people getting out would be to, put out 10 rocks that, whoever finds them first gets a $100 gift card to a Tigard business or something like that. Like something that gets people out, engages them, and gets them really interested. That's just an idea. I don't know if it's got to be that specific thing, but just I think we're going to have to be really creative and really pushy, to be honest, to do what our business community needs. My second question, or my question, would be about how many businesses were part of the focus group?
For the Recovery Ready program, Debbie Mullahan brought in 2 downtown businesses. I think, I'm confident she tapped her board of directors over the multiple meetings that she and I had. And in fact, she's doing a survey right now of businesses to get the questions they have on their minds about that Recovery Ready idea. So at multiple phases, we're soliciting input from businesses. It's never just a one-time thing.
Okay. Let's go around the council. Council President Goodhouse.
I think this is great. I mean, this is what businesses are going to need, is just that extra publicity, that they're open, how to come frequent them. I think, as the mayor kind of said, that some may not want to come out, so it's really letting people know that the ones that are really skeptical, how they can come frequent the businesses, how they can get something, let them know the process, that there is a clean sanitary process. And for the other ones that are fine, how can they come in? But might be good too to tap some maybe business coaches or some of the social media experts and stuff like that, just to work on businesses where a lot of businesses maybe never relied on that social media presence before, or getting people to like it and get the message out there, and how to have people share next door or things like that, how to have them ask their customers to see, please take a picture or do something. But I think this is the biggest part, is to get out to people, not only for business owners to get their names out, but for people to understand how they can come frequent these businesses, who are open, who aren't open. I know I've been trying to post pictures and do it, and you see people say, oh, I've never even known that business existed, or I didn't know that business was open, or I didn't know you could do that, or I didn't know this was the method they're doing it. But I think this is also a great opportunity, just as I said, that a lot of people might not even know what businesses are open, are in Tigard. So this is a great way to let Tigard residents know what's in your backyard, places you can visit, what can you go do, or here's ways to support, and here's open, and here the hours are. I think that's another part, is what are the hours? We're in a world right now where things are closing earlier. Some things you wouldn't think are open later are open later. Some are closed earlier, so people know when they can go frequent them, when they can go get it, what they can get. Is huge. But I think this is just something great. But it's also, I think it's going to be evolving as it goes on. Constantly getting feedback. Doing a check-in every week to see what worked, what hasn't worked. How can we get hold of people and have other businesses share with their businesses. A lot of them talk, so once this kind of gets going, then they'll see what works and doesn't work, and what we can do with the newspapers and media and things like that as well to kind of get this out.
Youth Councilor Turley, any comments or questions?
Not right now.
Councilor Lube.
Lloyd, you have certainly stayed very, very busy with all of the programs that you're rolling out, and the staff as well, the entire team. It's just impressive with, the resources that you are attempting to provide for businesses, and it's meaningful and it's impactful. I'm excited about the Recovery Ready program. I think it's incredibly important for our residents and, for all of us to feel safe when we are able to venture outside. And it's something where, a lot of businesses aren't going to have the expertise and need some assistance. So again, for us to be a resource for that is really impressive, and it's to be commended. And so thank you for all of your hard work and all of the work that we're hoping to do in order to get Tigard going again here soon, hopefully.
Thanks. Councilwoman Loop, it has been a team effort. I have the privilege of explaining these programs to you, but it's not just me. There's 3 or 4 of us working on these things to make them work, not even counting our partners outside of City Hall, like the Chamber and those CDFI partners I mentioned, but thank you. I'll share your praise with them.
Councilor Lube made me think of something, Mr. Purdy. The Recovery Ready program, that's something that every Chamber of Commerce and throughout Washington County is going to need, or every business community. So is there maybe discussion of taking this to, and at least communicating what we're doing to Beaverton, Hillsborough,
yes,
Tualatin, and both their cities and their chambers of commerce, or are they already doing something similar?
With your permission, I'd like to share this with all of them. I announced this program idea to my colleagues, the other economic development practitioners in Washington County a week ago. They were very enthused, and I took the liberty of promising them, much like I had done 3 or 4 weeks ago on another webinar, that I would invite them and their businesses to participate. That was the first training we did. It was a SBA, SBDC training. So I would like to go ahead and share this program with any business in the region, certainly in the county that needs it. We have, capacity of up to 500 seats in a Zoom meeting. And we will, of course, record these. And there's a different session for every sector. So with your permission, I would like to share it broadly.
Oh, please do. And you may need more than 500 seats even for one of the 4 sectors. So the need is humongous.
Right. Yeah.
All right, Councilor Anderson.
Another good job, Lloyd and team. I think the web pages look very professional. They don't look thrown together. I think that's, it'll obviously grow organically, but I think it's just very nicely laid out already. So good job. I want to take some time and explore it myself, and that's it for me.
Councilor Newton.
Yeah, great work again, Lloyd, and the whole team. I just wanted to share something, that there are businesses out there that view Tigard Cares not necessarily as just the funding source, but they feel when they contact our economic development department, you do care. And even if they can't get funding for something, often you're able to point them in a direction of something else. I was talking to a woman who owns a business and hadn't thought about it that way, and was gonna contact you all about, what that means and what that looks like. So I think it's interesting. It's shifting to, Tigard cares about business, not just in terms of funding these programs, which are also important. That's real money for those businesses. I was thinking about the Shop Tigard. I went into a business and we were talking about, a lot of people don't know they're open. What about giving them something that, like, I could take a selfie and it would say, they're open, they do gift cards or whatever, because we were like, oh, I'll take a picture of your business and you and send it out. So maybe that would be something to get the customers to say, hey, I'm here, this is a great business, my friends don't know you're open, let's take a picture, let's post it. And maybe on the Recovery Ready, which is also a great program, we could do similar to what we're doing on Shop Local to get people in the community comfortable. Hey, I'm open, I'm ready, I've done these things to make sure you're comfortable. I mean, a positive way to put the spin on that for businesses to say, hey, I'm a nail salon and I'm open and I've got the Recovery Ready certificate, and so that might help if people are looking for some sort of assurance. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Great work. It's really exciting, and it's I'm always really proud of our economic development team when I'm out in the community talking. So yeah, thank you.
I think the council made a good decision in bringing a more robust economic development program back last year. I think we'd be in a world of hurt if we hadn't done that. Okay, so Mr. Purdy, anything else you have or any further direction you need?